All right, Toronto, what's up? Yeah, I know. I'm the guy after Gary Vee. I get it. I fucking get it. I was like, woo! That's right. That's right. I remember I got the schedule and I was looking through and I was like, awesome, 2:10. I'm not in the morning, and I scrolled through and I was like, right after Gary Vee. Oh yeah. All right, here we go. How good was Gary Vee, by the way? Yeah. I've spoken on stage with him before him, it was a little bit different. So today we're going to talk about how to scale your purpose. How many people here, show of hands, feel like they have found and are living their life purpose? Just show of hands. All right, so a few of us. How many people have been searching for a little bit more purpose, meaning, fulfillment in their life? Hands up. All right, so quite a few of us. All right, so purpose is a very important topic for a lot of people. In fact, there are roughly 151,000 books on Amazon right now in relation to purpose and finding your life purpose. So clearly, this is something that we as human beings are trying to figure out. I was giving a talk recently, and I was talking about this stat that I read, a piece of research that was really, really interesting, that millennials, our generation, my generation, even though I might not look like it with the receding hairline, my generation, I'm like the OG millennial. I'm like the cusping. I brought in millennials. So with Nintendo 64 and everything. Yeah, that's right. There you are. I hear you. I see you. So millennials our generation will be the first generation to die statistically with less than their parents, less than the previous generation. And initially when I heard this, I was like, man, that's bullshit. That's not right. And so I did a little bit more digging, and I kind of found out why. But I was speaking at an event recently, and I brought this up, and I asked the audience, why do you think that is? Why do you think that we, as a generation, are going to leave this earth with less than the previous generation? Because the whole point, up until now, of life has been to work, hustle, make money, accumulate a whole bunch of shit, and then pass that on to the next generation to try and give your kids a better life. And some of the people said, oh, the economy is not that great. Well, as Gary just said, that's not true. The economy is absolutely amazing right now. Some people said, well, the job market's really bad. No, that's not it either. Some people said, social media is killing our ability to focus. No, that's not it either. And somebody way in the back was like, Donald Trump! I was like, yeah, okay. So really, the interesting fact is that our generation is choosing to die with less than our parents. And we're choosing that because we are choosing to pursue purpose and meaning over money. Now, don't get it twisted, because this doesn't mean that we're not crushing it. This doesn't mean that we're not making a ton of money. It just means that we are pursuing something a little bit more meaningful than just working the 9 to 5 and working a job that we hate, working for a company that we dislike. It means that we are looking for something a little bit more. And so the companies and the people that are able to get this are going to have an advantage, a competitive advantage in the market, because we live in a purpose-based economy in a lot of ways. So to understand how I got to where I am today, I'm going to share a little bit of my journey, because I failed my way to purpose over and over and over and over again. So I'm going to give you a quick little timeline, and then I'm going to condense some of that wisdom. So I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta. I barely graduated high school. Right after high school, I had huge, huge ambitions, because I felt like there was something inside of me that always was meant to do something big with his life. I was like, I don't know what it was, but I was always like, I'm meant to do something really big with my life. And so I graduated high school, and I did something absolutely amazing. I went and worked at International Stereo and sold stereo equipment there. And because that wasn't exceptional enough, I left that, and I did something even bigger than that. I went and sold vacuums, door to door. And not just any vacuums, I sold a $3,000 vacuum, because if you're going to sell vacuums, you might as well sell the most expensive one. Now, I obviously didn't find meaning or purpose or fulfillment in that, and so I would go on to do a whole slew of different jobs looking for a certain sense of meaning. I tried construction. I worked in northern Alberta in the oil rigs. I went and did sidewalks. I helped to build the sidewalks that you all walk on. And I wasn't finding any meaning in there. I was making a ton of money, but that wasn't really what was meant for me. And then in a conversation with my dad and with a few friends, they said, you should pursue your passions. You should pursue your passions, because we've all heard that, right? Pursue your passions, fulfill your dreams, make a ton of money. And I was passionate about music. And so I thought to myself, great, you know what, I'm going to give this a go, even though I had no background in music. And so I started pursuing and learning a little bit about music. Then I went and got a degree in music. I got accepted in music. I started singing. I started singing opera. That's not a joke. I swear that's real. And very soon after graduating my university degree, I got the chance to go and perform and sing in the Czech Republic, in Germany, Italy, France, China, New York, Toronto, Vancouver, the Vancouver Symphony. I started singing all over the world, but the problem was I was still miserable. I was still miserable. And I felt like there was something missing because I was pursuing my passions, I was having some success. You know, I had done all these incredible things and I still wasn't happy. And so I decided to clear my slate, and I took 2 years. 2 years, I intentionally cleared my slate because I had failed time and time and time again and hadn't seemed to make it work. And so I took 2 years to ask the one question, why am I here and what do I want to do? I read a book a week. I studied positive psychology, cognitive behavioral therapy. I studied everything that Carl Jung had ever written, and I dove headfirst into trying to figure out what makes human beings happy. Why are we here and what are we meant to do? At the end of the 2 years, I set 2 goals for myself. One was to go learn about business from the best in business, which was, in my opinion at that time, was Apple. And so I got a job a month and a half later at Apple and very quickly moved up the ranks and was running the Vancouver market by the time I was done, getting to work with some of the absolute best in business, because before that I didn't know shit about business. And so I got to work with people that went to Harvard and Stanford and IE in Madrid, which is the #1 MBA program in the world, and I got to learn about business from them. Then the second goal that I set for myself was that I wanted to start a company that supported people. And so I started an organization called Man Talks. And at first we had a very small event, and it was absolutely horrible. It was like 48 people jammed into an ING Direct, which is now like Tangerine for anybody that banks with them. So it was like this hilarious little event. But that ended up growing into this movement that's now all over North America and all over the world. And we have a podcast where I've interviewed people like Gary and Lewis Howes and Daniel Port and Gabby Bernstein. And you know, we've got like 250,000 downloads. It's been this amazing, amazing journey. And so I want to condense some of the wisdom that I learned from this journey. Because purpose doesn't have to be hard. It can be simple. Because simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. This is a great quote by a guy named Leonardo da Vinci. And so one of the things that I found along my journey was this great piece of research by a guy named Dr. Barry Schwartz. And Barry Schwartz was trying to answer the question, how do we as human beings make powerful choices in our lives? And if I can condense a part of his research into one sentence, it was that if we are inundated with more choice, the more choice we have, the harder it is for us to choose. It's called the choice paradox. And so as kids, we're told you can do anything, you can be anything, you can become anybody, and it becomes this like very challenging choice for us to make. How are we supposed to know what we are here to do? And I was reminded of this last year when I had the chance to take 20 guys down to Guatemala and rebuild a school. And when I walked in, there was no floors, there was no desks, there was no chalkboards, there was nothing, there was no playgrounds. Their soccer field consisted of a basketball court for some reason. And when we were there, I met this little guy, and he was off on the side, and he was holding on to one of the teacher's hands, and he wouldn't let go. And all the kids were playing soccer. And so I joined in, I'm playing soccer, and I'm shit, I'm a hockey player, so I'm like, you know, I have like 2 left feet, I'm trying to play soccer with these kids. And I see this kid like off in the side, and so I, you know, coax him over to come and play soccer. He doesn't want to play, but he basically like, you know, mirrors that he wants to like jump up. And so I pick him up and I'm carrying him around and I'm like trying to play soccer. And eventually we go and sit down for lunch. And I'm sitting down, I'm eating my lunch, and he comes over and he's playing and whatnot. And he speaks Spanish, I speak English. I can't talk to him. I speak a little bit of Italian and German, but not Spanish. And so we're like interacting, and finally I said, what's your name? What's your name? I'm trying to get this kid's name. And he wouldn't tell it to me. And so I went to one of the interpreters and I said, what's his story? And she said, oh, well, a few months ago, both of his parents were murdered. And we found him here in the school. One morning, he had showed up. And his parents were gone, they were killed. And so one of the teachers is actually trying to adopt him. We're in the process. I said, wow, that's amazing, and that's horrible. And I said, well, what's his name? And he interrupted immediately, and he cut her off, and he said something to her. And I said, what's he saying? And she says, he doesn't want you to know what his name is, because you should just remember what it feels like to be around him. And I was hit in that moment that we complicate life way too much. Because purpose isn't just what you do, it's who you are and who you serve. If what you do in the world is successful and you make a ton of money, but who you are in the world is an asshole, you're probably never going to be happy. If who you are in the world is successful and you make a ton of money, but who you serve you don't really care about, you're always going to feel like there's something missing. You're always going to feel like there's something missing. Because purpose is found at the intersection of using the gifts that leave you feeling fulfilled and producing results that leave you feeling rewarded. And this is kind of the magic, right? Like some of you may have gotten somewhere close to this before on your journey to finding purpose. Some of you may have attained this part of your life where you're like, yeah, I feel fulfilled. I feel like I'm using my gifts, but the results that I'm producing, I don't care about. The products that I'm creating, the services that I'm designing, the companies that I'm working for and marketing to, I actually don't give a shit about. You'll always feel like there's something missing. And so purpose resides at the intersection of these two places. And this is what I do today. That's how I've gotten to where I am today, by being able to help develop other people, to help other people find why they are here, what gifts they have to use, how they can use them, and how they can produce results in the world that allow them to lead a meaningful and fulfilling life. And if we do this right, we have a chance to die empty. And this doesn't mean that you create some like big ass bucket list checklist and you just go through and check that off until it's like all done and then your life here is complete. What it means is that you live in such a way where you're not waiting for life to bring meaning to you. You are bringing the meaning to life. You are living each and every single day, bringing the joy, bringing the happiness, bringing your purpose, your passion, your fulfillment out into the world, because purpose isn't something that we consume. Purpose is something that we generate and bring out in the world. Thank you.